Hello, friends. I hope this finds you well. I've been asked, what's all this flat Earth theory about? Okay, and I'm just going to keep this simple. Try and keep this video short because it really is simple, folks. Now, if you're looking at me going, Chris, flat Earth, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not referring to the age-old theory. Was it back in the 1600s, 1700s? That the Earth was flat and that the ships would sail off the edge, right? What I'm talking about is there's a global movement now, and it's huge. Type it into Google or type it into YouTube, right? That believe the Earth is flat, believe that the Antarctica is in fact an ice wall which runs around the outside and kind of keeps the sea in. And I just want to explain to those people that are researching this, and for that I thoroughly commend you, right? But I just want to explain where flat Earth theory come from and what the purpose of it is. So first off, you've got to understand what's been referred to as shadow government, deep state. It all sounds a bit cloak and dagger, but it's really not difficult to understand. If you remember what Lord Acton said, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? This is why you get politicians go into politics with all these great ideas and they want to help the people, and as they go up the ladder and as they get given the power, they all become corrupt, don't they? So you've got this shadow elite, if you want to think of it, and it is an essential. It's all those corrupted people that are sat in the organizations which control our society. So you've got things like NASA, NSA, CIA, big business. You've got the food industry, the medical industry, the military industrial complex, which is obviously a huge one. And as some of you are probably working out by now, these organizations don't exactly act with integrity. You've only got to look at what's been done to the Middle East over the last 20 years to realize they are in actual fact headed up by absolute sociopaths, right? Now, this network that runs through these organizations is a network of old boys clubs, the old school ties, fraternities, as in like Ivy League university fraternities. You've got Masonic institutions like Skull and Bones Club. I mean, look at Skull and Bones Club in itself. This is the Yale Freemasonic Lodge, of which I think at least 3 presidents have come out of. 3 presidents, and you can't see the nepotism or you can't see what's going on there, right? So these people, they obviously all work together to maintain this facade of the status quo, while all the power's going that way at the risk of your freedom and my freedom. Give you an idea of how they work. The night before JFK was assassinated, there was a meeting in a house in Dallas, and there was the vice president there, who was the head of the mafia, and there was representatives from the CIA. Okay, now just look at those organizations. The mafia want JFK dead because he's going to have a clampdown on the mafia, right? LBJ, God bless him, well, he obviously wants the president dead because he's the vice president. You remember, these guys are freaking psychos. They don't care about life. They definitely don't care about you, and they certainly don't care about me, right? You've got the CIA, who are in effect representing the corporate interests in the military build-up in Vietnam, right? you've got all these corporations in Vietnam vying for business, vying for the, the oil or whatever it might be, all the big, the big oil corporations, right? And then, of course, you've got JFK, he's not sure about the American commitment in Vietnam and this huge build-up of troops, and he's considering bringing them all home. Well, that can't happen. Not with all the money at stake that these psychos that I keep talking about are going to make. So, everyone had good reason to get this meddling president out the way. So you can start to see how these members of these organizations come together to form this shadow elite, right? Now, what happened is people started getting savvy. No one really believed Oswald shot the president because it was ludicrous. The theory didn't work. They came up with the magic bullet theory and the phony, investigation. And so they got George Bush to go up there in one of his speeches, and they said, George, go and make these people look like idiots. They're not, just tell them they're not patriots. If they question the official story, they're not patriotic, right? So he went up and he went, yeah, and of course, we shouldn't pay attention to these ridiculous conspiracy theorists, right? So what's he doing? He's turning something which is a good quality in a human, Conspiracies have always gone on, right? Two cavemen living in their cave conspire to steal a bit of meat and not tell the rest of the clan. That's a conspiracy, okay? So it's been going on since time immemorial. So you chuck in the word theory and suddenly you make people look like, a tinfoil hat, right? That's the idea. And it was just to throw people off the scent. So anybody who was getting close to the truth was outed in public, made to look stupid. And of course, other people then backed off because they didn't want this public humiliation. You fast forward to this day and age. Well, God, look what, again, the more interested among you will have started to realize there's some serious stuff going on, right? I'm not just talking about the events in New York, for which I don't know, I don't know if you're aware of the University of Fairbanks, Alaska. They did an in-depth, independent investigation into Building 7 up there in New York and just blew the official narrative out the water. But I'm not here to nitpick and argue physical stuff, right? That's not how you get to the bottom of these situations. You see the truth for what it is, right? You see, you've got NASA, what is it? 21.5 billion a year of your money. Okay, Mr. or Mrs. America, or if you're in Britain, we're suckered into the same thing. We're paying for these bombs in the Middle East out of our, we're paying to bomb children in the Middle East out of our hard-earned money, right? And where does that money go? It goes to the military-industrial complex, these psychos that I'm talking about, right? So you got NASA up there, allegedly with their space station, and what do they do with their 21.5 billion? They take a pot plant, they grow a pot plant in space. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely, that science is going to leap forward, right? Or they send that idiot with a guitar, the one I mean, right? No mention of the green screen technology or the CGI or the parabolic aeroplane. Some of you will know what I'm saying, or mentioning that actually that space is only in the Earth's atmosphere anyway, right? It's not actually in space. So they've got a lot to cover up. These people. If you want to find out about the JFK story, have a look on YouTube for Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. It's all in that video. How these guys work, So they've got a lot to hide. And now you've got technology you've got social media, you've got YouTube. They didn't anticipate people being able to spread the word and using their intellect, because we're not brainwashed like our, dare I say, our parents' generation were. They were the first generation to have television sets, and they watched it and they just believed everything they were being told. Three men got in a tin can with 1960s technology and they went 265,000 miles. Then these two men got out of that tin can, they got in another one, and then they went to another planet. Then they had a bit of a gingangooli, didn't go to the toilet for 3 days, got back in, and they hopped back in this one. Then they came back for tea and biscuits. It's like, I'm not here to argue whether we've been to the moon or not. It's not the point. The point is what the TV did is it took away people's ability to critical think, to analyze a situation and say, do you know what? I don't actually know, but I am willing to concede. Yeah, there's kind of like a lot of doubt there, isn't there? Do you see what I'm saying? To be able to maintain that balanced, this kind of viewpoint, right? So what these shadow elements have had to do, what this kind of network of sociopathic, narcissistic, greedy power grabbers, is they've had to come up with a way to make anyone questioning these obvious hoaxes and frauds and false flag operations and phony wars. Your food system is a lie, folks. The drug system, the medical system, big pharmaceutical is a lie. Your monetary system that keeps you enslaved with this phony paper. That's what money is, paper, right? Printed by private individuals, not governments, private individuals, right? That's a scam. The 9 to 5, work your whole life. Everything is stacked against you, right? And in order to maintain this mass fraud, they came up with a theory. They sat around a table, some of these idiots, and said, right, how can we really make people look stupid when they're questioning what we do, and they're kind of coming up with evidence you can't argue with? Tell you what, let's go with the oldest theory of all, the flat earth one, right? Let's get them to believe it, okay? We'll do a few clever videos. We'll, put our billions and billions of dollars and technology into it, and we'll really get, we'll really make it a bit credible. We'll talk about how airplanes won't fly from here to here. We'll talk about the false horizon. They're not stupid. These people have been manipulating you and me since before the days of the pyramids. They are masters at understanding the planet, the universe, and human psychology. In the old days, they sacrificed people, they chopped their head off, drank their blood, whatever. Why? It was to keep everyone in fear, right? They got a guy, they dressed him in robes, told the public that he had a direct chat line to God. You got to do what this guy. Okay, they believed it. In Second World War, Vietnam, you name it, most conflicts, what did they do? They told you there's an enemy out there. They're going to come and kill you in your beds. We've got to go. What did all the young men do? Patriotic, incredibly naive, picked up the runs, went off to die, didn't they? These people are clever, folks. They know how to control the whole game. And it's really important that you take this on board, because I want you to have a life like mine where you get out and you see all these countries. I've been across all 7 continents. I've scuba dived in Antarctica, I've stood there on rock. Antarctica is a continent, if you didn't know. It's not an ice wall. I'm sorry to dishearten you. I've driven around the planet. I've driven around it, right? I've driven to India and back. So, I want other people to understand this, not just so that they can live a full life like I have, but also, what about our kids? I don't want them controlled by these idiots. We're increasingly becoming a controlled state, like George Orwell's 1984, and Sadly, most people can't see it, right? So you can't fall for this flat earth theory that they've come up with, because the reason they've come up with it is now anytime anyone questions what NASA's doing up there or down on the ground, wherever it may be, anyone questions events like in New York, anyone questions why we're sending our boys to get their legs blown off in Afghanistan while dropping all kind of hideous weapons on men, women and children in villages over there, right? Anyone you're a flat earther, aren't you? I bet you're a flat earther. Tinfoil hat, isn't it? If you don't believe me, folks, you can see this in action. Go to a debate on the internet, go down the comments. Guaranteed, before you get to 4 or 5, someone will go, oh, flat earth, tinfoil hat, right? That person probably even works for the, you know, they kick it off. Don't think they don't, you know. This, I tell you, this is what they do. This is what they're really good at. So anyway, I commend anyone that's looked at flat earth. I genuinely congratulate you on caring about this planet and society and what's happening. I'm not trying to change your mind, but you must understand I have to speak my truth, because if I'm not, I'm stealing knowledge from you, or I'm withholding it. You can go away, you can act on like my knowledge and other people like me, right? Or you cannot. That's your choice, right? And that's completely fine. But I've said my bit now, and I've like hopefully empowered at least one person out there. Go, do you know what, Chris? I was actually like thinking that myself. I kind of like it started to tie in the knots, you know, and hopefully we can actually create a, you know, a better world together.